Have you ever watched a car crash in slow motion? It's that feeling of helpless dread, knowing the impact is inevitable, that metal will twist and glass will shatter. That was me, for 3 months, watching the wreckage of my marriage unfold from the driver's seat. It started with the glow of a phone screen at 2 a.m. My wife Jessica angled her body away from me in our bed, a subtle, protective curl. A faint smile touched her lips as she typed, a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in years. The screen cast a pale, ghostly light on her face, illuminating a stranger. I didn't need to see the messages to know. I felt it in the sudden coldness of the sheets between us, a chasm that had opened while I was sleeping. I knew, and she didn't know that I knew. That was the moment the real story began. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For 10 years, Jessica was my world. We built a life in a quiet suburb of Chicago, in a house with a porch swing and a garden I tended every weekend. I thought we were happy, but happiness, I learned, can be a fragile illusion. The strange behavior started small. Late nights at the office became more frequent. "We're pushing for a huge deadline, babe," she'd say, her voice tired over the phone. But when I'd bring her dinner, the office would be mostly empty, her supposed colleagues nowhere in sight. She'd get angry, accusing me of not trusting her, of being controlling. Then came the receipts. A dinner for 2 at Gibson's Bar and Steakhouse on Rush Street. A place we only went for anniversaries, paid for on a Tuesday. When I asked, she laughed it off. A client dinner? Silly. You know how it is. She became a master of deflection, a cold, manipulative artist painting a new reality over the one we had built. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, was now her constant companion. Always screen down, always locked. The affair partner, I soon discovered, was Mark, a smarmy financial analyst from her firm. I saw them once, from across the street, leaving a hotel near Millennium Park. He had his hand on the small of her back, a gesture of casual ownership that made my blood run cold. They looked untouchable, wrapped in their own bubble of deceit, laughing as they stepped into the Chicago sunlight. That night I broke. I sat in my car in a dark parking garage, the city lights blurring through my tears, the steering wheel cold beneath my clenched fists. The humiliation was a physical weight, crushing the air from my lungs. The loyal husband was gone, shattered into a million pieces. In his place, something else was beginning to form, something strategic, something ruthless. The first step was to stop being a husband and start being a detective. I bought a voice-activated recorder, a tiny black sliver of a thing, and tucked it under the passenger seat of her car. Every night I'd retrieve it, sit in my study with headphones on, and listen. I heard their conversations, their laughter, their plans. I heard her mock me. He just potters around in his garden and thinks everything is perfect. Each word was a nail in the coffin of the man I used to be. I documented everything. I downloaded our shared credit card statements and highlighted every suspicious charge. I took screenshots of her location history when she'd forget to turn it off, a trail of lies leading to boutique hotels and quiet bars. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop, who provided me with a thick manila envelope of photographs of Jessica and Mark kissing in a public park, holding hands, their faces alight with a joy she no longer shared with me. I was building a fortress of evidence, brick by painful brick. The legal trap was next. I consulted a shark of a divorce attorney in downtown Los Angeles, a woman known for her scorched earth tactics. On her advice, I quietly moved our joint savings into a separate account in my name only, citing a need to invest in a high-yield bond she wouldn't understand. She just nodded, distracted, already thinking of her next meeting with him. I let her believe she was in control, played the part of the devoted, slightly pathetic husband, made her favorite meals. I told her I loved her, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. Her arrogance was my greatest weapon. She was so sure of her own cleverness that she never saw the ground crumbling beneath her feet. The final act was set for our 11th anniversary. Jessica had, with a show of performative guilt, agreed to host a party at our home. She invited all our friends, her colleagues including Marquand, our families. It was to be a celebration of our love, a perfect facade. The day of the party, I was a bundle of cold, calm nerves. As guests arrived, I greeted them with a smile, a drink in my hand, playing the gracious host. Jessica was radiant, floating through the crowd, her laughter echoing in the warm evening air. Mark was there, smug and self-assured, shaking my hand with a grip that was just a little too firm. They thought they were invincible. The party was in full swing when I stepped up to the portable speaker system we de-rented. "If I could have everyone's attention for a moment," I said, my voice steady. A hush fell over the garden. Jessica beamed at me, expecting a gushing tribute. I looked directly at her. 11 years, I began. A lot can happen in 11 years. People change. Priorities shift. I paused, letting the silence hang in the air. Then I turned to the large projector screen ID set up against the back wall of the house, ostensibly for a slideshow of our happy memories. "I've put together a little video," I said, "to commemorate our journey." I pressed a button on my laptop. The screen flickered to life. It wasn't a slideshow. It was a photograph. The first one from the pie. Jessica and Mark, locked in a passionate kiss. The green of Lincoln Park, vivid behind them. A collective gasp went through the crowd. Jessica's face went white. Before she could speak, the next image appeared, a receipt from a hotel, followed by another photo, and another. I had synced the entire presentation to the audio from the voice recorder. The crowd heard her voice mocking me. They heard Mark's, planning their future. They heard everything. It was a symphony of her betrayal, performed for an audience of everyone she knew. Her parents stared, horrified. Her boss's face was a mask of fury. Friends looked away, unable to meet my eyes or hers. When the presentation ended, there was only silence. Jessica stood frozen, her face a canvas of pure, unadulterated ruin. Mark was already slinking away, disappearing into the darkness. I looked at my wife, the woman I had loved, and felt nothing but a vast, cold emptiness. "The divorce papers will be served tomorrow," I said, my voice barely a whisper, yet it cut through the silence like a blade. "The locks will be changed in the morning. The house is quiet now. The garden is overgrown." I sold the home we built together and moved to a sterile apartment overlooking the city, a place with no memories. I heard she lost her job. Her family, staunchly traditional, disowned her. She was left with nothing but the public shame I had so carefully engineered. Sometimes late at night I look out at the endless grid of city lights and wonder if she ever thinks about that night. I don't. The man she betrayed died in that parking garage. The end.